Hello, and welcome to Writing Tips with Rachel. Today I'm answering the question, is there more than one way to write a book? Most writers are naturally curious people. We ask lots of questions about the world. We wonder and challenge and try to make sense of the senseless. And we love to know how other writers do things, how they write a book, how they manage their time, how they market themselves, how they live, how they breathe, how they parent, how they survive. When I was first starting out as a writer, I was tempted to do everything the same way someone else did it. I had to write for 5 hours a day. I had to spend 20% of my time marketing. I had to use this one particular story structure. I had to start my stories with a log line so I could make sure I understood what my story was about. I had to explore all these concepts in my story, never start with a theme, blah, 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 blah. I tried. I really did. And I found myself getting burned out, frustrated, and completely overwhelmed. There are lots of voices out there saying, this is the way to do it, and it's the only way if you want to be successful. I wasn't experienced enough to see this for what it was, one person's advice. I strongly disagree with the kind of advice that says, this is the only way to do it. Part of it is my contradictory nature. I don't like someone telling me I have to do things this one way and that's the only way. Don't even try to do something different. My natural inclination is to say, well, watch me do it differently. Ha! The other part is something it took me a long time to realize. We are all different. We all work differently. We live differently and breathe differently and manage our time differently. We also write differently. I'm all for researching the many different time management, writing, revision, marketing, whatever methods people use. And I'm happy to share my own. But because every writer is different, we have our own best way of working, and we have to find our way. My way into a story or a piece of writing includes spending a few weeks getting to know my characters or thinking about what I want to say before I start to write. I research and brainstorm for a few weeks. Then I write a first draft from start to finish without editing or revising. My revising takes the longest and requires anything from 3 to 8 or so more drafts, give or take a few, depending on the story. That process won't work for everyone, and I don't expect it to, because there's more than one way to write. Some like the white noise of coffee shops. Some prefer listening to music. Some can't write unless there's absolute silence. And guess what? For me, it's different for every story. So there's that variable too. Stories require different methods sometimes. We all want some easy formula, some definitive way to write a story or do things or live life. And those of us who have done it before are seen as experts because we've done it. But all we can really offer are suggestions. We all have to find our own way. What works best for us, not everyone else. Here's how we can find our way. Number 1, be open to experimentation. Take a scientific approach. Go ahead and collect other people's suggestions, gather as much information as you can, and then design some experiments to intentionally try out a variety of writing methods. And pivot continuously. Every experiment, failed or successful, gets you closer to your process and your way. Number 2, take notes on what works and what doesn't. Every successful experiment requires notes. Ask yourself, what do I like about this way of writing? What do I hate about it? What slows me down? What feels natural to my writing process? Self-awareness and critical thinking are important factors in improvement. For writing, but also for anything in our lives. Make a list. Start a spreadsheet. Identify what's necessary and what's not. I've learned over the years that I don't need to fill out a long, complex character sheet on my characters because I get to know them during my lengthy brainstorms. There may be additional things you need for your process, and that's okay. We all write differently. Have I said it enough? Number 3, be patient with yourself. It is not unusual for me to read or hear about another author's writing process and think, I really need to try that. Still, after writing more than 50 books, we will fall under the spell of, here's how to do it, again. But it's also important to keep in mind that we never stop growing and evolving and adjusting. Even when you think you have a streamlined process in place, you may discover a new method that really works. Stay open to that too. It's all a grand experiment. Keep experimenting. Take as long as you want and need to find your own process. And repeat to yourself, there is no right or wrong way to write. That's it for today's Writing Tips with Rachel. I hope this video has been helpful to you. I'd love to know some of the ways you experiment with your writing process and keep it fresh and efficient. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for videos about books and life and more videos like this. Thanks for watching.